Welcome to I'm Okay Being a Karen. My name is Sterling, and here we talk about daily life, real situations, and the exact moments that test my patience. So grab your coffee and join the conversation. What we're talking about today is what happens when we stop looking for diseases. One of the biggest mistakes we can make is believing that if we don't hear about a disease anymore, it must not be a problem. The truth is much simpler and far more concerning. Sometimes we're not hearing about diseases because we're no longer looking for them as effectively as we once did. Today we're talking about disease surveillance, why public health experts say it's one of the nation's most important defenses against outbreaks, and why measles cases in the US have climbed to levels not seen in decades. Now, this isn't going to be about politics, and it's not about instilling fear. It's about understanding how outbreaks are detected, why early warning systems matter, and what can happen when those systems become less effective. According to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the United States has confirmed more than 2,300 measles cases this year. That's the highest annual total in roughly 35 years. Multiple news organizations, including Reuters and the Associated Press, have reported that this year's case count has already surpassed last year's total. So, what the heck is going on? How did we reach a point where a disease, once declared eliminated from continuous spread in the US, is making national headlines again? To answer that question, we first need to understand something called disease surveillance. When most people hear the word surveillance, they immediately think of cameras, tracking, or someone watching their every move. Well, that's not what disease surveillance means. Disease surveillance is simply the process of collecting health information to identify illnesses before they become widespread. Think of it like the National Weather Service. Meteorologists don't create hurricanes, they don't create tornadoes. They simply watch the atmosphere closely enough to warn us before dangerous weather arrives. Public health works the exact same way. Doctors report unusual illnesses. Hospitals notify health departments when they begin seeing unusual patterns. The laboratories identify viruses and bacteria from patient samples. The state health departments compare their findings with other states. The CDC looks for trends across the country. And when all of those pieces work together, experts can often detect an outbreak while it's still small enough to contain. The earlier they know, the faster they can respond. You see, disease surveillance isn't new. In fact, it's one of the oldest tools in modern public health. According to the CDC, disease surveillance has helped identify outbreaks of foodborne illnesses, influenza, meningitis, West Nile virus, COVID-19, and countless other infectious diseases. Without those reporting systems, many outbreaks would have spread much farther before anyone recognized a pattern. Most of us never notice these successes because they're designed to prevent crises before they become headlines. When surveillance works well, nothing happens. And that is actually the goal. So, why are experts concerned right now? Several former public health officials have warned that recent reductions in staff and disease monitoring programs have weakened parts of America's early warning systems. According to reporting by The Guardian, most former CDC officials have expressed concern that fewer resources and reduced surveillance capacity makes it more difficult to identify outbreaks quickly. Now, notice what they're saying. They're not claiming America has stopped monitoring diseases altogether. What they are saying is our ability to detect problems early may not be as strong as it once was. And that distinction matters because with infectious diseases, time matters. Now let's talk about measles. For many Americans under the age of 40, measles sounds like something from history books. That's because for decades it was. In the year 2000, the CDC officially declared measles eliminated from continuous transmission inside the United States. That didn't mean measles disappeared from the planet. It meant outbreaks that began here were usually stopped before they spread widely. And that success was built on two things: high vaccination rates and rapid disease surveillance. These two systems work together. One reduced the number of people susceptible to infection. The other quickly found new cases before they became large outbreaks. So let's fast forward to today. According to the CDC, the United States has already surpassed 2,300 confirmed measles cases this year. Reuters reports that this is the highest annual case total in approximately 3.5 decades. The Associated Press notes that cases have been reported across dozens of states, with several large outbreaks involving hundreds of infections. Health officials also caution that confirmed cases likely doesn't represent every infection, because not every sick individual seeks medical care or receives laboratory confirmation. And that's where surveillance becomes so important. The official numbers only include the cases we know about. The unknown cases are much harder to measure. And here's another fact that surpasses most people. According to the CDC, measles is one of the most contagious viruses known to infect humans. If someone with measles coughs in a room, the virus can remain suspended in the air for as long as 2 hours after that person has left. If someone who isn't immune enters the room during that time, they can become infected without ever having direct contact with the sick person. That is extraordinary, and it frightens me tremendously. It's one reason measles spreads so efficiently. And it's also why public health officials move so quickly whenever a confirmed case appears. Every hour counts, every contact matters, every delay increases the opportunity for the virus to spread. So imagine this scenario. A child develops a fever. 2 days later, another child in the same school develops similar symptoms. Then a local emergency room begins seeing several patients with the same illness. Individually, those cases may not seem unusual, but when hospitals, laboratories, physicians, and health departments share information, a pattern begins to emerge. That's disease surveillance doing exactly what it's designed to do. It's connecting dots before the picture becomes obvious to everyone else. Remember, having standards doesn't make you a Karen. Expecting basic decency isn't asking too much. If you've ever walked away from a situation thinking, am I the problem, or are people just getting worse? Then you're in the right place. Be sure to follow this podcast, leave a rating, drop a comment, and share it with someone who will appreciate a little common sense. And if you've got a story that brought out your inner Karen, send it to me at the email address in the notes. Your story might become a future episode. My name is Sterling, and I will see you next time on I'm Okay Being a Karen.